Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 17, National Football League. Everybody can see the finish line. This is my last and final game of the regular season in week number 17 in 2013 for that matter. And this is a game that had playoff implications for one team involved, the New Orleans Saints hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Week 17, Saints simply need to win, and they're in the postseason. It's funny that it came down to this. This Saints team had been dominant all season long, and for it to come down to week number 17 and them needing to win just to secure a playoff berth kind of seemed far-fetched a month ago, even 2 weeks ago. But that's the position that they put themselves in, losing some games down the stretch, losing at St. Louis, losing at Carolina, put themselves in a predicament here down the stretch, needing to win at home. But again, nobody saw Tampa Bay coming into New Orleans and winning. And so I felt like this was an easy slam dunk win. And no win is easy in the National Football League, but there was no way the 4-11 Tampa Bay Buccaneers were just going to trollop into New Orleans, into the Superdome, and beat the New Orleans Saints. It just wasn't going to happen. And I felt bad for Arizona. But again, you make your breaks in this league, and you can feel as bad as you want for Arizona and feel like they're a worthy team. But at the end of the day, it's all about results. And this New Orleans Saints team did enough, and they beat that Arizona Cardinals team earlier in the season. So push come to shove, if these teams ended up tied, New Orleans would get the nod as long as they won this game and got to 11-5 on the season. So it was a big matchup for New Orleans. It was like a playoff game because you win and you're in, you lose, and you run the risk of not making the postseason. They still could have lost this game and gotten in if Arizona were to lose in Week 17 to San Francisco at home. But you don't want to leave anything to chance. You don't want to ask somebody else to have to do your dirty work for you to get into the postseason. Everything that you want is in front of you, and you control it. So make it happen. So Week 17, Saints at home, Buccaneers on the road, NFC, South, family business. If you're the Saints, take care of this business and move on. And that's what they did. They dominated this game. But I tell you what, this game was a lot closer than people realized early on. Saints jumped out. And the biggest thing here is Buccaneers just gave up too many big plays. For this defense to be as solid as it has been all season long, for them to give up the amount of big plays that they gave up in this game, I was a little disappointed in Tampa Bay because there were too many big gains in this game for the Saints. There were too many defensive breakdowns, too many guys miscommunicating with each other, and too many wide open Saint receivers. You had Kenny Stills open for a wide open touchdown. You had Lance Moore for a wide open touchdown. One-on-one coverage with Meacham and quote-unquote best corner in the league and Darrelle Revis, and he catches a touchdown pass. There were just too many opportunities for this New Orleans Saints team to score touchdowns, and they're too good of an offense, especially when they're at home, for the Buccaneers to be making the mistakes that they made. But tell you what, this team was game early on. You looked at the offense and what Glennon was able to do. I like Glennon a lot. I like Mike Glennon. He's growing on me. And they ran a beautiful, you can't run the flea flicker any better than the Buccaneers ran for their first touchdown of this game. You want to talk about somebody wide open. I mean, you don't get much wider open in this league than Tyquan Underwood was when they ran that flea flicker. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. They pitched it back to Glennon, and he loaded it up, and he hit him in stride. And he had to be 10 to 15 yards behind the defense. I mean, this guy was wide open, and Glennon did not miss. They get on the board. They tie this game up at 7. But the problem was every time they do something, they let the Saints come back and do something to them. And it was just too easy all game long. And even when they tried to put up some resistance, Levante David, I love that guy. You know, I try to talk about him every opportunity I get. 3rd and 1, he stonewalls Pierre Thomas and stops them from picking up a first down in the hole, pulls him backwards. It's 4th and 1. Saints go for it. They get it with Jeff Collins in the run game. and they end up scoring a touchdown and take the lead 14-7. And they respond, do the Buccaneers, with Tim Wright. And I told you, Tim Wright is just playing out of his mind. I love this guy. He's going to be a big-time tight end for them in the future if he can just stay healthy. They've got weapons. Like I said, in Tampa Bay, they've got weapons. They're building some things there. They've got some building blocks. And I'll talk about them a little bit more at the end of the episode. But this was more about the Saints and what they were able to do. And they really just kept their foot on the gas pedal all game long. And I thought where the Buccaneers messed up in this game was going into the half. They're down 14-28. They got an opportunity to kick a field goal going into the half. They want to try some chicanery and some trickery. They get cute, want to try a little fake field goal. It doesn't work. They try a little underhanded flip, get stopped. They don't get anything right before the half. I thought it was important to get something on the scoreboard, knowing you get the ball after half, that if you kick the field goal and you ultimately get a field goal after halftime, guess what? If you kick a field goal before the half, you get another field goal after the half. It's an 8-point game, one possession score. You're right in this ball game. Instead, you elect to go for the fake field goal. You don't get anything. You get a field goal after half. You're still down 11, and the Saints smell blood in the water, and they strike from there, and they run away with this game and win 42-17. So I thought that's where the mistake was made, and all that can be traced back to coaching. You can say what you want about – let's talk about the Buccaneers for a second. Say what you want about Greg Schiano and his Buccaneers organization, Mark Dominic, and what may have you, but I felt like the talent on this team is good from a standpoint of Mark Dominic. Felt like they did some things, but this is what it all boils down to, okay? Mark Dominic handpicked Greg Schiano as his head coach. And anytime you go out and put your neck on the line for a coach, and I talked about this same thing with the Cleveland Browns situation with Rob Chizzinski, okay? You come in and you want your guy in place. And the Browns did it backwards. They went out, they hired their head coach, and then they went and got a GM. Well, that GM didn't hire that head coach, and so he feels some type of way about that head coach, and he feels like, hey, if I'm going to get canned as a GM down the line, I want to be able to say, I got canned with my guy. I got canned because the guy that I handpicked didn't get it done, and so both of us fall on the sword and we're out of here. But I don't want to get fired because of a guy that I inherited, that I had nothing to do with, and he doesn't perform, and so it looks bad on me, and I get fired, and I didn't hire that guy. So the Browns had to go and clean up a mess that they had made earlier by firing Chizzinski. In this situation, Mark Dominic got the opportunity to handpick his head coach. He went out, he handpicked Greg Schiano from the college ranks and saw this guy as the disciplinary type of head coach that they needed at the time. Raheem Morris was a friendly players coach, too buddy-buddy with the players. He felt like they were too easygoing and that type of thing. So they needed some discipline in that locker room. And maybe that was the case. Aqib Talib and guys like that were in this locker room, and there were too many things going on off the field and not enough emphasis on what was going on the field. They quit on Raheem Morris in that season. They needed discipline. So he goes out, he gets Greg Schiano, a guy that's a stickler for discipline. And what you did there is you staked your reputation on Greg Schiano. You said, this is my guy, we're going to get it done. And things really didn't go the way you envisioned it to go in this season. Now, I'll say this. For as bad as Tampa Bay started, they battled back. They played some solid football down the stretch. They never quit on Greg Schiano, contrary to popular belief. I thought they were going to quit. I thought it was going to be a mutiny in Tampa Bay, but it was all contrary, my friend. These guys played football. They wanted to win, and it seemed like they were playing for a head coach that they really liked. And I thought that he had done enough down the stretch to save his job. That was my opinion. I thought he was going to get a shot, and Mark Dominic and company were going to get another shot to run this thing in 2014. I was wrong. And the Glazers, they're never wanting to make rash decisions. They usually take their time, and they're methodical in their approach when they do things. They didn't waste any time with this one. Black Monday came, and they cut off the head of Mark Dominic and Greg Schiano. Both of those guys were fired on Monday, and I'll be doing a Black Monday episode. You should be looking for that come Tuesday. I'll break down Black Monday and all the things that I think have occurred and the fallout from it and what I think about those situations and how they unfolded. And so I really didn't see this one coming. Honestly, I thought they had done enough to save their hides in Tampa Bay. Obviously, I was wrong. They didn't do enough. They got canned. But let's talk about the New Orleans Saints. They get it done in convincing fashion. It's a shame because this team is so dominant at home. They're not going to get to play any home games. And this is a team that didn't lose all season at home, went 8-0 in the Superdome, and they don't get to play at home at all. There's no chance, no possibility. Being a 6 seed means you do not get a chance to play at home at all in the postseason. And so they're going to have to be road warriors. And this is a team that struggled mightily on the road. They went 8-0 at home, but they went 3-5 on the road this season. And so we'll see if they're able to muster up enough gumption on the road to get it done. Look, they got to go to Philly. That's a winnable game on the road if you're the Saints. If you go out and perform offensively like you're capable of, you can pull that upset off. And I don't know if that's an upset to most people in the NFL circles. But you're being the 6th seed and on the road, it might be an upset to some. But that's a game that you can win. Now, after that, you got to go back to Seattle if you win that game. And that's looking way down the road. I don't want to look that far because that would mean that I'm overlooking the Philadelphia Eagles, and I don't want to do that. You don't need to do that, and I don't need to do that either. So first things first, you're in the postseason. Congratulations for clinching a playoff berth. You deserve it. You're one of the best 6 teams in the NFC, and now you got to go on the road. You put yourself in a position by losing to the St. Louis Rams in week number 16. You put yourself in a position to where now you got to go on the road. And you did this to yourself. You have nobody to blame but yourself for this. Now you got to go and make it right. And first things first, you got the Eagles on the road, wild card weekend, got to take care of business. And I'll be anxious to see how this defense plays because that's what it all boils down to. I don't have any doubts or worries about this Saints offense. I feel like they'll perform. Even if they go to Seattle, I feel like they'll bounce back. They've been there before. They understand what they have to do in Seattle to perform better offensively. It's about this defense. And they couldn't stop Seattle, and I thought they played really well against Carolina, but they didn't get the stop down the stretch to preserve that win. You didn't stop St. Louis at all, and it's going to be on this defense. And it always seems like that's what it all boils down to in New Orleans. This offense is really good. They're going to put up points. They're going to move the football. It's always about the defense. It's always been about this defense because this offense is going to score. Will the defense show up in the postseason? That's the million-dollar question for the New Orleans Saints. We'll see how it all unfolds. But again, postseason, Bart Scott, let's get it on. Saints clinch a playoff berth with a 42-17 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're in the postseason. Bart Scott, it's about to be on. Can't wait. Let's do it. That's going to do it for week number 17. That's going to do it for the National Football League regular season here in the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. I thank you for all your support during the regular season. But now it's the second season. It's the postseason. I'll have extensive coverage of the postseason here in the Lab Room. Don't you worry. Come and join me as I break down the 2013 NFL postseason. That's going to do it for the regular season here in the Lab Room. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Thank you for joining me. It's been a long season, but now it's the postseason. It's time to enjoy some really good football. Thank you for being here with me throughout the regular season. Now it's the postseason time. See you then.